All right. Do you need an agent in voiceover? That's our topic for today. But first, welcome to Daily Voiceover Huddle and the #1 YouTube channel for voiceover related content. My name is Mike Hathcote, and I'm a full-time voice actor here to help you just move a little further down the journey in voiceover. We do it every weekday morning. Also, if you haven't yet picked up the book or pick up the book called The Voiceover Blueprint, the digital copy, the uh, audiobook, as well as 4 free gifts. Link in the description for less than $10. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and chime in on the chat so we can do some shout outs here just in a few minutes. And hit the notification bell so you'll always get notified when these new videos drop. Okie doke. Let's talk about agents. Do you need an agent in voiceover? And the short answer to that is no, you don't. The old paradigm is dead. So the old way was, and we're talking 20, 30 years ago, you had to have an agent or multiple agents to get work because they are the ones who went to bat for you and tried to locate the opportunities. Um, then they would send you the opportunity. You would most likely go down to a studio to do the audition and then come back home and wait by the phone until you got a call. Hopefully you got the job. And then you would go down to the studio again and record the job. Um, that old paradigm is gone. Nowadays, you do everything. You wear all the hats, including the agency part of things, which means you have to go out and be your own agent. You have to go out and find the opportunities yourself. Now, agents still exist, and they're what I consider to be nice to have versus need to have. So I personally have 5 agents all over the country. I even have one in New Zealand. So in fact, I just got an email from her today. But it's okay to have an agent or multiple agents. Just don't rely on them to get all your work. Treat them as yet another spoke in your revenue wheel. So they are a great source of more opportunities, different opportunities, audition opportunities and stuff. And they are typically, and this is not a hard and fast rule, they are typically better paying jobs. National work, big money jobs, bigger money jobs. Some of them are union, some of them are non-union. But as a general rule, you will get better paying work if you do have an agent or agents. Here's an example. One of the best jobs that I've ever had, as far as time spent versus money gotten, was through an agent. And it was a little 15-second spot for a chain of car washes. And it was a regional chain, not even a national chain, just a regional chain. And the directed session took me about 10 minutes maybe to do. Recorded it, sent it off to the client. They loved it. $2,500 for spending 10 minutes on a call with them. So that right there, that one job paid for my demo. So remember we talked about risk versus reward? You get a good demo, you get a good agent or agents, they will provide some higher paying work for you that will hopefully pay for some of your demos and stuff. So they are nice to have, but if you had 0 agents, you'll still be able to do just fine in this business as long as you do your own marketing and your own sourcing of opportunities. Now, having said that, before you reach out to any agents, you do once again have to have professionally produced demos, not a DIY demo, because you are, competing with the best of the best at that point. So the competition is fierce in most agency work. But once again, if you've got the good demos and the good chops to back it up, then that's when you can start reaching out to agencies and get on their rosters and hopefully start getting more opportunities, meaning more money. And that's what it's all about, right? Okay. What else are we talking about today? Oh, yeah. Speaking of agents and representation, we're going to be talking more about that stuff on Tuesday night at our VO Launchpad live training webinar. Link in the description below. It is kind of a back to basics class. Whether you're brand new or have stalled out and or want more out of your VO business, this is the webinar for you. We're going to cover all the basics, the fundamental foundational stuff that every voice actor should have, no matter where you are in your journey. And there may be just one little thing that you may have missed, and that one little thing would put you, over the mark. So check it out in the description below. We're going to give away a free seat as we normally do. We're going to draw for that on Monday. So everyone who has signed up, you'll be entered automatically into the drawing for that. And we are keeping the price low because it's me who's teaching it, and we're not bringing in an outside um, expert. So, all right, let's see what everybody's saying today. Good morning from Ron, or to Ron from Grand Haven. He was the first one in today. And number 2 was Nephi from Knoxville. Welcome to you. And there's Sean from Longview and David from Hamilton. There's Becky. Good morning, VO friends, from this Michigander checking in from sunny Glendale, Arizona. And there's Charlie. Good morning from Sparta, Wisconsin. And good morning to Eddie from San Antonio. And Maria from rainy, windy Rhode Island. There's Dennis from Grant Park, Illinois. And there is Grady in Ithaca, New York. Spoke to Grady yesterday. We had his onboarding call for he just joined the Voice Over Blueprint. So we had his call yesterday, and just to make sure he's kind of heading the right direction. There's Wayne from Port Orchard, Washington. Good morning, sir. And Kirk from Greenville, South Carolina. And there's Bob from Wadsworth, Ohio. There's Andrew from Latvia. Welcome to you. And Nicole from rainy Ottawa. There's Jason from Kearney, Nebraska. And Terry from Falston, Maryland. I've had agents before. However, most of my work comes from my own marketing. Yep, 100%. It's just one. The agents and rosters are just one of the many spokes you should have in your revenue wheel. That way, if any one of those goes away for some reason, your business isn't shot. So many times I've talked to people where they were all in on, Fiverr, or all in on, whatever, and something about that platform changed. Maybe it was a pay to play or something. They were just working on that platform, and then that platform changes something, and then all of a sudden their business is in trouble. So the more of those little revenue spokes that you have in your wheel, the better. Good morning, Joy from Southfield, Michigan, and Nancy in Yankton, South Dakota. Happy and joyful from sunny Florida. Good morning to you, or afternoon. And there's JJ, another VO blueprinter. And there's Steven in Kalispell, Montana. Steven's also in the blueprint. Wow, we got a lot of blueprinters on today. There's Gary from far north Dallas. JJ says, and good coaches, Mike. Appreciate you and all the Voice Over Blueprint coaches. Thank you. And one of these days, in fact, I may do that tomorrow before we do Q&A Friday. I'm going to publicly recognize all the staff for the Voice Over Blueprint, because it does take a village to run this operation, and all of the people who do are invaluable. So we'll talk about more of those tomorrow. There's Dennis from Pasadena, California. Good morning to you. All right. What else we got? Do we have any questions about agents? Nice to have, not need to have. Oh, and just make sure that if you are going out and finding agents, that they are not in competing markets. Some agents want, exclusivity, over where you can get another agent. So in other words, if you've got an LA agent, don't get another LA agent. Make sure that they are not in competing markets. Mine are scattered all over the country, and like I said, even around the world. So just make sure that you um, check that before you start submitting to agencies, that you're not competing against, or that they are not competing against one another for your stuff. JJ says, how do you find them? Well, you use the giant robot in the sky called Google, and you just look up voiceover agents. Easy peasy. Go there, check them out, make sure that they do, have a stable of voiceover talent that fit your needs. Now, here's what's going to happen. When you submit to an agent, sometimes they'll take you right away. Other times they'll say, our roster is full right now of the kind of voices that we want. Now, if you just sound like everybody else, you may not get in because they want a stable of diverse talent, as far as the types of voices they have. So just do your research before you reach out to them, and then once again, as long as you've got good demos and a good website, and it is professional looking when they visit to make their decision, that should be all you need. Also, don't be surprised if they tell you that they're full and, try again in maybe 6 months. Um, Sometimes they may not need you now, but they might later, and persistence pays off. So put a little note in your CRM or a reminder, something like that, to follow up with that person or resubmit, within 6 months or so, or whatever they ask. Becky says, that's interesting. I would have thought that an agent would be more worldwide for work, but they are more regional. Yes, they are. They cover certain territories. Um, some of them will get, opportunities from production companies all over the place. Some of them have a very narrow um, channel for where they get work. It also is not uncommon to get the same job opportunities from multiple agents. So I always just do the first one that hits my inbox. So they'll send an audition opportunity. Maybe an hour later, another agent will send the same opportunity, because these production places, they don't, some work with just a single agent, some work with multiple. So they post it out there, and then all the agents pick it up and put it out to their talent. So it's very, very likely that you might get multiple the same opportunity from multiple agents. And the way I play it, like I said, is I just do the first one that hits my inbox. They get the submission. It does not hurt you. I'm sorry. It does not help you to submit the same audition to multiple agents, because the end listener is going to be hearing the same ones. So if they hear your submission through this agent and then they come across that same audition from another agent, it's not a good look. So just do one. That's enough. JJ says, what do they usually require? Good question. Most of the time, they'll just require your demo, because a lot of times, just like with rosters, sometimes your demo is your audition. That's yet another one, that's reason number 876 to have a pro demo, because a lot of times your audition is your demo. The client will come to the agent or the roster and they will say, I need a, male talent between 30 and 50 with this kind of voice, blah, blah, blah. And the agent will say, okay, here are, our 20 talent that fit that description. And here's the demos. And so then the listener or the buyer will go through and listen to the demos and pick the person they like, or maybe narrow it down and then pick somebody else. Other times it will be a full audition situation where they just send you the script and everybody submits, cattle call audition. So make sure that your demos are hot before you go start reaching out to agencies or rosters, because it is very, very fierce. The competition is fierce. Sometimes, by the way, they will also ask for a video demo. I've seen more and more of those pop up on submission forms. Give me a link to your YouTube video demo. Um, Not often, but it does happen more and more. So usually they'll ask for your well, first of all, whenever I reach out to a new agency, I just give them a link to my website, just like I would if I was going direct to a production house. If they like your stuff on your website, then they may ask you to send them an MP3 of your demo so they can keep it on their in their files, or add you to their website. That can happen as well. So they'll tell you what they want if they want you to move further, and go ahead and be on the list. CJ says, "My wife built my website. I think it works pretty decently. I need to put more samples up." Yeah. Um, we talked about a website. When did we talk about your website? Oh, yeah, it was just a couple days ago. All roads lead to your website. Just a couple days ago, we talked about that. Or maybe it was yesterday. Gosh, the days are running together. Sorry. But yes, your website is besides your demos, are your single most important marketing tool. So your website should be um, well built, reliable, load fast, secure, and have as many samples on there as you can. Ricardo says, "Good evening from Somerset, West Cape Town, South Africa. Good evening to you." Dave says, "My impression is that 10% of a VA income is from agent work. Recent survey said 35%. What do you believe on average?" Well, I can only speak for myself, but I would say that I think 10% is probably a good number, maybe even a little less. 35% seems a little high to me. And I don't know what they're considering agencies. Do they lump in rosters from that? Because I think rosters and agencies are a little different. But 35 seems high, but if that's what the survey said, then, we'll go with it. But for me personally, if I had to just rely on my agents to work, I'd starve. I wouldn't be doing this because it's a pretty small percentage, but it's a percentage that I want to keep. So one of the many spokes. Becky says, "Good info. Always learning, or always learn something I may not have picked up in the past. Thanks, friend." You're welcome, Becky. And that's part of the reason why we're doing this thing on Friday or on Tuesday night, because sometimes with the amount of information that gets thrown at you, you miss the forest for the trees, right? And there may be one little thing that you might have skipped inadvertently that you're missing out. So we're gonna kind of condense this all down to just the basics and the foundational stuff that every single one of you, if you're in this game, should have. So don't miss it. CJ says, "There's no way in the world I'm going for an agent of any kind. I still haven't gotten a coach yet." Yes, I mean, that's obvious. Yeah. You don't want to put the cart before the horse. If you're just starting out, you do not need to reach out to agents. You need to make sure that number 1, you have your demos, professional demos. Number 2, you have performance chops that you can, back up the skill set on your demos. And you have some audition experience. You can, because when you go to an agent or when you get an agent, you're going to start getting quite a few opportunities. And unless you have the auditioning skills, in addition to the performance and sound quality and all the things, that you have to have in line, you're going to just get really frustrated because you're going to audition over and over and over again and never hear anything back. And so, yes, good point. Until you get some coaching, good demos, a website, and you've got some experience doing auditions, no need to reach out to agents yet. So there are steps involved, and you don't want to jump ahead. Good point, though. There's Alan from Pennsylvania. Why don't more, Doug or Dave says, why don't more voice talent incorporate Bitcoin payments into their international payments? Faster, cheaper? I don't know. It's a good question for them. Bitcoin is, it's a hot topic. It's up, it's down, it's a little volatile right now. So, that may be why. I don't know. But that would be a question for them. All right. Not only do I have a bunch of auditions to do today, speaking of auditions, some of them are for agents. And like I said, one is from that agent in New Zealand. But I've got not one, but two video demos to produce today. Well, I don't have to get them done today, but I'm going to start them today. Already started one. And so I'm going to finish that up and then hopefully get to the next. So I'm going to get to work. All right. Remember, tomorrow is Q&A Friday. So bring your questions, all the questions, bring them on Friday, and I'm happy to answer those. And that's all I got. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Have a good one and break a lip.